Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. And if you have student loans or you've just been trying to follow along with all the news, you're probably some mixture of confused and annoyed right now because it's kind of hard to keep up with what's going on. So to help us kind of navigate what we're seeing in the news, what we're probably hearing from friends and family, I wanted to talk to someone who I turn to when I want to know what's going on with student loans. She's an amazing resource, and her name is Nika Booth. She's the founder of Debt Free Gonnabe, and you can find her on TikTok and Instagram. So Nika, how's it going?
What's up, Chris? Thank you so much for having me.
No, I'm so excited to talk with you. I've been a fan of your work. You're always keeping me up to date. Somehow, you always have the news right when it breaks. And I'm always grateful for that. So I appreciate you taking the time to join me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I thought, just to kick things off, just could you tell us what's going on right now with student loans? Because, one minute we're hearing about, they're going to forgive anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. The next minute it's not going to happen and it's going to court. So could you mind just kind of just catching us up? What's happening right now?
Yeah. So where we stand right now is like there's no news, right? We're in a stalemate, so to speak. Biden's student loan plan or student loan forgiveness plan has been blocked since late last year. And that's because there are two lawsuits, one set forth by 6 Republican-led states, and another from 2 plaintiffs who no longer qualify for Biden's student loan forgiveness plan due to some changes. And as a result, Biden's student loan forgiveness plan has been blocked. So the Supreme Court is now involved, and the Supreme Court will be hearing oral arguments on both of those cases, or for both of those cases, on February 28th. So at this point, we're kind of waiting for that. The Supreme Court's ruling is expected sometime by June, and then we'll know then, what the state of student loan forgiveness is. But at this point, student loan payments and interest are still paused, but student loan forgiveness is up in the air.
So right now, and for you, just like your thoughts on this, like how likely do you feel it is that we'll probably see any type of forgiveness go through? And do you think for you, does you feel like it's just going to keep kind of lingering and keep being pushed out further into the distance?
So no, I definitely think the Supreme Court is going to rule by June. I don't think they're going to rule in favor of Biden's student loan forgiveness just because of the makeup of the Supreme Court at this time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the end of student loan forgiveness. And I've mentioned this a lot, on Instagram and on TikTok. The Biden administration has other tools in the toolbox, is what I say, including the Higher Education Act. And so even though the Supreme Court is likely to strike down Biden's student loan forgiveness plan as it's stated and as it's packaged, it doesn't mean that students borrowers won't see student loan forgiveness at all. The Biden administration will probably have to go back to the drawing board, kind of restructure things in order to make it happen. And so that may actually look like what we've been seeing this past year, where they have loosened some of the criteria around existing programs, like what we saw with the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Waiver, or PSLF. The same with the Income-Driven Repayment Plan forgiveness waiver that's coming. And so if student loan forgiveness, according to Biden's plan, is struck down by the Supreme Court, it's likely we'll see more of that kind of rule bending, so to speak, in order to provide relief to more borrowers.
The last thing I want to ask you on to get an update on was the fact that they still have that pause going on where they're not accruing any interest on student loans or federal student loans. How long is that going to go on for? Because I know it's been pushed out since 2020. They keep every so often.
Yes. It's been, if my memory serves me correct, it has been pushed back 8 times. 8 times since March of 2020. So there's a lot of confusion around exactly when student loan payments and interest will resume. So, as it stands, payments will resume 60 days after litigation is resolved, meaning the Supreme Court renders its decision one way or the other in favor or not in favor of student loan forgiveness, or 60 days after June 30th, whichever is soonest. All right. So the earliest, we're looking at March, right, for payments to resume if we're counting 60 days after February, but it's unlikely the Supreme Court would hear the oral arguments on the 28th and also render a decision on the 28th. So we probably looking at April, all right? Or the latest would be August if it's 60 days after June 30th.
Okay, so there still is some time. So
Absolutely.
For those people who have been like kind of just like riding the wave of, hey, they're not charging me interest right now, let me enjoy it. You got a little while longer.
Yeah. And Chris, I've talked to a lot of people about this payment pause and what they've been able to do during this payment pause. Some people are taking advantage of the payment pause and paying other higher interest rate debt or paying off their private loans. Some are actually still making payments to take advantage of the 0% interest because, again, we talked about the interest and how it capitalizes, right? And then others don't have to do anything because a lot of people don't remember this or don't know this. If you're pursuing public service loan forgiveness, PSLF, the months that you don't make a payment during COVID actually count towards the 120 payment requirement. So that has also, been quite a blessing for me as well in helping people get closer to public service loan forgiveness.
One thought came to my mind. Sorry that I said that last one was the last question, but I got one more
No,
question.
it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
And it was because you mentioned about the pauses going on and how different people are kind of approaching this extra money that they have available now because they don't have to make these payments. So I remember at the beginning of all this, when people would ask me like, oh, with the pause, should I still keep paying my loan? Even my brother asked me this. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? In the beginning, don't worry about making the payment. Just set the money aside because you don't know what's happening. We're still waiting to figure it out. But it's been 2 years now almost. So at this point, does that still make sense to be like, oh, let me not make my payments? Or is it better to say, well, look, they're not charging me interest. Let me try to knock this principal balance down on this loan while I can.
It's kind of the same thing, but because interest isn't accruing right now, there's nothing wrong with continuing to save that money as long as you're saving it and not spending it, and then making, right, and that's the key, and then making a lump sum payment before payments resume so that you can still take advantage of the 0%. It's kind of the same thing because if you save it and you're saving it in something, and you know this, Chris, if you're at least saving it in something like a high yield savings account, that money's growing, it's growing some interest for you. So your lump sum payment would be even, a little bit bigger than what it would have been if you were just saving it in a traditional savings account or if you were making the payments, as you were setting the money aside.
I'm really appreciative that you came on to talk about this, to
Absolutely.
help me get up to date, help everyone listening get up to date on this. And you're just full of information. Like you always have something new to tell me about student loans, some update about what's going on with the courts and the progress with all this stuff. So if people want to connect with you, they want to learn more what you got to say about student loans, where's a good place for them to go check that out?
You can find me in the Instagram streets. You can follow along. You can follow along on my journey because it's not over yet. There's still a lot more to be done, as well as staying up to date on student loans and just for general tips and for helping you tackle your debt on Instagram and TikTok at Debt-Free Gonnabe. And join my email list. I send a weekly email out to my email subscribers full of value and information. I also make announcements about events that are coming up to the email list before I put them on social media.
Okay, I might have to subscribe. I don't think I'm on your email list. I need to get some of this information. So I'm going to be subscribed. Everyone listen, go subscribe, check it out. Nika, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here. It's been so great talking with you.
Likewise. Thank you.